Hello learners, I am Professor Fogarty and I am going to be reviewing some of the components of the Week 6 Data Analysis and Visualization Diabetic Dataset. So this is a component of your homework assignment where you are creating a portfolio by completing assignments in Week 6, 9, 11, and 13. So the culmination of that is going to equate to 35% of your final grade in BSN 235, with this specific assignment in week 6 counting for 50 points. So let's see what it looks like as a student. And in this data set, you will see again it is due by the end of the week on week 6. This does qualify for the 2-week extension grace period, but it is better just to go ahead and get this done because you've got a lot coming up in future weeks. So get it in by Sunday night at midnight Mountain Standard Time, well, 11:59 Mountain Standard Time in week 6. So this assignment is the first part of your data storytelling homework project. You're going to analyze the data set and create visualizations. These visualizations and information that you gather is going to help you create your following assignments in the homework. You will have a Word document that is your instructions as well as an Excel workbook that is provided above. So you're going to be guided through the steps for analyzing data, interpreting and summarizing data, and creating data visualizations. On this page, you can also see the instructions that once you have completed the Excel workbook and the instructions within the Word document, please submit them both below. So this is also the rubric that you will be following in this assignment, where you want to make sure that you have done each of these correctly to receive those exemplary points. Now, let's get into actually getting into our data set. So to do that, I like to go, here is our data analysis and visualization document, and there's a symbol here with the, let's just zoom in, with the symbol for an arrow down, the download symbol. Click that, and you'll see it's going to reflect up here in the right-hand corner. And then we're going to go down to our Excel workbook and do the same. And it's going to reflect up here in the right-hand corner. So with those downloads, we need to open them up. I like to do that within my Downloads tab here and just select those two to open on your computer. Okay, you can see now that I have organized my data so that you can have on one side of your screen on the split screen your instructions, and on the opposite side of the split screen you are going to have your Excel spreadsheet. While you are customizing this Excel spreadsheet, just so that it looks like how you want, there is this opportunity down here in the right lower corner where you are able to change the zooming in and zooming out, so you can just adjust that so that you can see your data a little bit more clearly. I like to just be able to see this full data set. Don't forget there are some areas out here to the right that we will address. So our full data set is available and our instructions are here off to the side. Now we are going to go ahead and get into our instructions. Make sure you read the purpose, the objectives, the overview, and that you look at the scenario so that you have a deeper understanding of how this is going to play out with all 5 of your homework components. But I want to get deep into the instructions, specifically those areas that I think that you might struggle with if you aren't extremely skilled at Excel. So to start off, as we get into our instructions, our first instruction is to calculate the mean age using the average function to calculate the mean age of the patients. To do that, we have instructions that are saying in cell R2, place the following. And let's start out with finding cell R2. So we go over to our data sheet, and our letters are going to represent our columns and our numbers are going to represent our rows. So I'm going to scroll over until I see R in our columns, and I'm going to find the intersection of R and 2. That is going to be this cell right here. And when I click on that cell, I can tell we're in R2 by looking up here where it says R2. So we're in the correct spot. Now we're going to go back over to instructions where it says what we need to place in cell R2. And what we need to place is going to be this formula. A formula in Excel starts with the equal sign, and on these it's going to end with a closed parentheses. So I'm going to copy and paste this into my formula. So I like to do that by using Control C after I've highlighted what I need, and I'm going to go in R2 to our large box here. This is where we input our formula, and I'm going to put Control V as in violin. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we are going to get our mean age calculated. Some other options here would be, again, to highlight what you need to, and you can right click, hit copy, and then go back into our box, and we would then hit paste, and that would give you the information. Now, make sure again that you include the equal sign at the beginning and that you have the last as the close parentheses. Failure to do that is going to result in an inaccurate acquisition of data or even an incorrect pop-up. So what did this just give us? So let's look back. We are on mean age. We got a mean age of 52.36. And if I go up here and I go back towards our data, and I just click back on my formula here at the top, it's showing that we are asking Excel to create the average of this block of data that's highlighted in blue. So it took all of these numbers and automatically gave us the average without us having to manually do it ourselves. So that is one of those perks of Excel. Now you are going to follow these instructions for the next few areas. In gender distribution, you're going to be using the COUNTIF function. And with the COUNTIF function, we are telling Excel to count in this area, C2 to C26, how many M's are present, which would stand for male. And it just follows all the way down with gender distribution, ethnicity, treatment type, and treatment compliance. And then as well with complications. Now, moving down, we are going to get into some other areas that I want to go into a little bit deeper with you, and that's going to be in our visualizing the data area. So the first one I want to work with you is within the creating a pie chart depicting ethnicity. So once you have completed all of the above instructions, all of this data should be filled in, and you're going to have a lot of things to work with here. But first, I want you to go into ethnicity distribution, this final chart here, and we need to highlight, based on our instructions, cells W2 to Z2 and W3 to Z3. Now to do that, we're going to come back over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I want to start at W2 where it says Hispanic. I'm going to left click that, left click and hold. Left click and hold at W2, and I'm going to drag it over until we get to Z3. Now we have highlighted and created a green box around that set of data. Now we are going to go into Insert, and we are going to go over to our charts. Now this is asking us in the instructions to create a 2D pie chart. So you can just hover over these. I know what a pie chart looks like. It looks like that. We know it's a pie chart because it says insert pie or donut chart. We're going to insert a 2D pie chart. Now there are some things we need to do with this before we can submit it. First of all, we need to change the title because that was the next part of our instructions. Change the title of the pie chart to ethnicity. So we're going to go over chart title, and we are going to change this to ethnicity. If I could spell well. There we go. The next thing we're going to do, according to our instructions, is to click on a white part of the chart until you see the plus sign. So on this, we have plenty of white parts. I'm just going to click on a white part, and you see that this plus sign popped up. I want to click on that plus sign, and I'm going to include by clicking the check mark next to data labels. Now, if you look closely, you will see we actually got some numbers pop up. Now the next thing on here says that we need to click on one of the numbers in a section of the pie chart and then go to Home and change the text color to white and bold. So let's do that. We're going to click on one of those numbers, number 5, or any of them, and you'll see all 4 were highlighted. And we are going to go Home, and we are going to go to our little word letter that shows us our font color, and we're going to change that to white so it's visible. We're also going to go to bold. You could even increase the font a little bit so that it is truly visible and you can see the numbers of each of the ethnicities in this data set. One thing you can also do is highlight your key here and just increase the size of it so that it is a little bit easier to read too. Now that we have finished with our chart, because we have followed all of the instructions, we are going to just move this to an area of our sheet. So if you zoom out, you can see I've just moved it to an area of our sheet that does not include any other data. Now, moving on to the next one where it says we need to create a pie chart to represent gender distribution. This is going to follow the exact same thing as what we just did. So go ahead, pause the recording, and do this on your own. And if you have any questions, just go back a little bit in this recording and re-watch it, and you'll see what to do. The next one I do want to show you how to do is going to be a little bit different, and it is going to involve gathering 2 sets of data from our chart and using it to create a visualization. So our goal here is to show the relationship between treatment types and outcomes. So we are going to create a bar chart. To do this, we are going to highlight column G and highlight column J. To do this, we will start at column G, and I want to be at G1. I'm going to left click and hold at G1, and then I am going to drag it, left click and hold at G1, drag it all the way down to G26. Release your left click and hit Control. Hold down Control. You are going to go over to our J column, and we are going to go to J1, click with left and hold, and drag down until we hit J26. And then we are going to release the left click and release the control, and now both of these data sets are highlighted. We are then going to go into Insert, as our instructions say, Insert Recommended Charts, Clustered Bar Chart, which should be the first selection. Insert, Recommended Charts. Oh, hold on. So I've had an issue here, and I think I know what it is. It's because I added one more layer, unfortunately, outside of just that. So let's do this again. We are going to left click on G1, drag it down until just hitting G26, release your left click, hit Control, go into J, go from J1, left click and hold, and drag down to J26, release your left click and release your control. Now if we go to recommended charts, it is giving us what we want now, and our recommended chart we're going to choose is the clustered bar chart. We are going to ensure it says clustered bar chart, and we're going to hit OK. Now what this has done is it has actually opened up a new sheet. So down here we have different sheets, diabetic data set. This says sheet 4. Most likely on yours it's going to say sheet 3. But where it says sheet 4 here at the bottom, you are going to want to change this name. So we are going back to our instructions, and it's telling you that. Your chart will appear in a separate sheet in Excel. Double click on the tab that says sheet 2, and we are going to change it to say treatment type and outcome. So I've just copied that. I'm going to double click where it says sheet 4, and I'm going to paste that. Now we can tab between the diabetic data set and our treatment outcomes here in the lower right hand corner to where our new chart is. So in this chart, we are going to have to change a few things according to the instructions. So we just did this one. Now we need to scroll down to the next bit of instructions. So we need to change a few things in our actual chart according to the instructions. So we went ahead and changed the sheet to treatment type and outcome. We are now going to move on to where it says to click on the white part of the chart until we get that plus sign that pops up. And when that plus sign pops up, we are going to hit it, and we are going to add a check mark next to data table so that our data table will pop up at the bottom. And you can see now that this gives a good visualization of what we see here. This chart is pretty much saying that for oral medication use, we saw a decrease in the hemoglobin A1C from initial to after intervention. With insulin, we saw a decrease of 3.5, with diet and exercise, a decrease of 3, and the combination therapy, a decrease of 4.2. A decrease is good with hemoglobin A1C. It means that their kind of like insulin resistance and diabetes management is improving. So now that we have added that bar, our next instructions say that we will barely see labels for a solid line on the table in black text. Highlight this text area by clicking on one of the text table labels on a bar. Now I'm going to show you what that means. So if we go over here into the very right-hand side of our data, you will see our cursor come up, and when we see our cursor on this left-hand or right-hand side, I want you to click on it, and a little box is going to pop up. And what you can't see here are very small hidden words, and we're going to make them visible by going up to home, and by changing their color as it says in the instructions. We're going to change the color to white and make it bold. Change our color to white, and we will bold it. And now you can see here that our oral meds resulted in a -3, insulin resulted in a -3.5, diet and exercise -3, combination therapy -4.2. So we are now done with this sheet, and we need to return back to the diabetic data sheet, which we're going to do here in the right-hand corner of our Excel sheet. So on the diabetic data set, we are now going to do something very similar, but with two different sets of data. We are going to go with the treatment compliance in column M and the hospital admissions in column P. We're going to do that the same way. We're going to start with column M, and we are going to left click and hold at column M1 and drag it down to M26. Release our left click hold and press control and hold down control. We are then going to move over to the P column, and we are going to left click and hold at P1, drag down to P26, and then release the left hold and release the control. We will then go into, as our instructions say, click the Insert tab at the top, insert a clustered column chart. Insert a tab at the top, go to Recommended Charts, and we are going to insert a clustered column chart. We will then press OK. This is going to, again, open up a new sheet. Where it says Sheet 5, it may say Sheet 2 or Sheet 3 on yours. You are going to change that to what it says here. The new tab should be named Compliance and Hospital Admin. So I'm going to copy that, double click where it says Sheet 5 or Sheet 2 or Sheet 3, and then just paste that so that we can come back to it easier and see our different sheets. Now we are going to move the chart just so that we can use it, and we are going to change the name of this chart to Compliance and Hospital Admissions. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see. So we have just renamed the title of the chart. We are now going to click on a white portion of the chart until we get our plus sign, which allows us to add things. And we're going to add some new things here. We are going to add an axis title, and then we need to change the name of the axis title. So on a chart, the vertical up and down is our y-axis, and the horizontal left to right is our x-axis. We are going to change the vertical y-axis title to what is indicated here as the number of hospital admissions. I'm just going to copy that, cover over here to my vertical axis title, and paste it. So now we know that this is the number of hospital admissions. We are then going to do the same with the x-axis or the horizontal title, but we're going to change that name to treatment compliance. And when we hover over that, we are able to get rid of the letters in there and input what was said on our instructions, which was treatment compliance. So were they compliant with treatment? Yes. Were they compliant with treatment? No. And how many hospital admissions did that result in? Next thing we want to do is we're going to go back to our plus sign, and we are going to also add data labels. This just gives us a clear number of where it is lying on this column chart. All right, so those are two. And one thing I want you to see down here is in our Excel sheet, you'll see that I only have 2 of those sheets, and we have made 3. So where did the 3 one go? If you see these 3 little dots, that's where you can find your 3rd one. It just disappeared because there was too much going on down there. So if you ever lose one of your sheets, just look for those 3 little dots, click on it, and that will uncover your sheet. So we just finished the visually represent the relationship between compliance and hospital admissions. The next one is going to be visually demonstrate the relationship between exercise and health. So you are just going to continue to follow the same instructions as we have done on the last 2, but you will do it based on what it says. So for this one, you want to do column N, go back to Diabetic Dataset, do column N and column J, then you're going to insert a stacked column chart. For checkup frequency and control, it's going to be a clustered column chart. And then for BMI and initial A1C, it's looking for a scatter plot. So as you do these, please be very cognizant of what type of chart that it is asking you to create, as well as the different title changes that are needed to accurately visualize this data. All right, so now that you have completed all of those charts independently, we are going to go down into the analysis portion of this. And from this point, between where you created your last chart and where it says analyze the data, this is where I need you to submit. So you are going to submit in a Word document. It can be this Word document, from analyze the data all the way to the bottom. All right. That is extremely vital for you to get all of the rubric points. And what I need you to do is once we get to analyze the data, yours is going to look different than mine. I have added some extra pieces here in red where it says answer is needed. So essentially what you're going to do is you are going to follow the instructions. Compare treatment type and control by going to the sheet titled treatment type and outcome. So we'll go back to our Excel spreadsheet, hit the treatment type and outcome, and we are going to analyze what we have discovered through this analytics of the data. So which treatment type produced the greatest decrease in A1C? An answer is needed. Did all methods decrease A1C? An answer is needed. What meaningful conclusions can you draw, if any? An answer is needed. And it continues on. An answer is needed here. What conclusions? An answer is needed here. You'll analyze your charts on the diabetic data sheet that will pop up, such as ethnicity, and you will draw conclusions. So you'll draw conclusions at anywhere it's asking you to draw a conclusion. Now, the activity submission. You need to fill in the information below, save your document, and upload and submit it to Canvas. In this, you are going to summarize your conclusions and add your recommendations. So remember all of these conclusions that you just made. You need to be taking these conclusions for each one and giving solutions or giving recommendations. So what I would do here is I would have a conclusion for the first one that was asked. So a conclusion for comparing treatment type and control. I would scroll down and my conclusion would be treatment type and control. I noticed that X treatment was the most beneficial, and so forth. What conclusion did you come with? And then a recommendation. What recommendation would you make? And this needs to also consider things such as informatic tools, technology, nursing interventions, education, anything that you can do to create a recommendation based on that analysis of data to improve patient outcomes. So I would just do this conclusion and recommendation pattern. Again, this is not on your worksheet. This is just something I have added to help you visualize what it needs to look like, with a conclusion and recommendation for each of these areas that you created a meaningful conclusion from. So compliance and hospital admin, changes in A1C, checkups and control, BMI and A1C. Each of those need to have a conclusion and recommendation. To meet the exemplary status of your rubric, please ensure that you do the following. You need to have conclusions that are clearly articulated and summarize the key findings from the data analysis in a concise manner. The conclusions should logically follow the data presented and are well supported by evidence from the analysis. Recommendations are specific, actionable, and directly address the issues identified in the analysis. Each recommendation should be supported by data and include a rationale explaining how it will improve patient care, decrease cost, or benefit the healthcare facility. And those recommendations should demonstrate a comprehensive understanding of the healthcare context and implications of the data. So that's part 2. You've done all the work. Now you analyzed all the data. Now I need you to give me screenshots of the visualizations. And to do that, there's a couple of different ways. So we did that ethnicity pie chart together. So let's go ahead and copy and paste that into our Word document that we are going to upload along with our Excel spreadsheet into the Canvas Dropbox. And my favorite way is just to click on it until it is all highlighted. And then I'm going to hit Control-C. Go back over here into my Word document and hit Control-V for violin, and there she is. Another way that you can do this is going to be to right-click on your chart, go to Copy, then you're going to come back to your Word document, right-click, and you are going to hit Paste. And then the last option here is going to be to save this to your computer. Or there's 2 more options. Let's save this to your computer. You can do that by again coming over to your Excel spreadsheet, right clicking. You are going to go to save as a picture. You're going to save it as a picture. You're going to call it whatever you so desire to make sure that you know where it is. Then you'll come back into your Word document and you will need to insert a photo, a picture from your device, and it will be that picture that you chose. And again, here we have it. The last option here is going to be inserting a screenshot. And to do that, you would just go to your data set and you're going to do Windows, Shift, and S. Hold down all 3 till you get that kind of gray screen, and then drag your screenshot across. And then you can go back and you can Control-V, and that will insert your screenshot. We will accept any of these forms so long as you have changed the name as appropriate, you have added axes, y-axes, and x-axes, and renamed them as appropriate, and added any data labels that have been indicated by the instructions. Once you have completed all that, you will then save this document, this Word document, and you will save your Excel spreadsheet. You will then upload both of those documents into Canvas. So let me show you how you can upload 2 documents into Canvas at one time. We are going to be doing that by being here in our assignment again, and we are going to be going to a new attempt. So in the new attempt, we will be able to scroll down and we are going to stay on File Upload option. We're going to upload a file. First file that we are going to choose is going to be our workbook or our Word document. It doesn't matter. So let's upload our Excel spreadsheet. Open that up. And then we are going to go right below it to where it says Add Another File. We are going to upload a file, choose a file, which is going to be our Word document, since that's what's left. Open that up, and now you can see we have 2 files that are going to upload at the same time. I'll be able to see 2 if you upload 2. You're going to agree that this is my own original work, and then you're going to submit the assignment. When you do that, you will be able to check. I do love the sprinkles. That makes me happy. You will be able to check that you submitted both because you can see over here in the submission details that you downloaded or that you did both the Excel spreadsheet and the Word document. You can also go to submission details here and you'll see that there were 2 documents uploaded. Right here where the timers are, you will see a Turnitin score, and please do not let that Turnitin score alarm you. Almost everything is going to look the same across the board here, so we will be looking for specific things that aren't going to be reflected in that Turnitin score, so kind of ignore those. Now, one thing to note is that once I have graded this is a great place to view your feedback. So you can view your feedback here where I might put notes on your Excel spreadsheet and I may leave comments. So you would see all the comments here. You can also go up to where your grade is and show rubric. And under show rubric, you would be able to see what I gave you points on, where I deducted points, and even comments that I left within the rubric. So make sure if you have any questions regarding why you got a lower score than expected, you go to each of these 3 places to look for my feedback or any of the instructor's feedback to you. One other thing I wanted to show you is that if you are only able to upload 1 document at a time, that is fine. If you go to upload a file and you choose the Excel spreadsheet and you realize that your computer is bugging out and does not have that add another file option, you are welcome to submit the Excel spreadsheet and then immediately resubmit with a new attempt and give me the Word document immediately after. No matter how many documents you upload, I will be able to see all of them on my end. So do not fret if you do have to submit it as 2 different assignments. Okay. And again, you can view those submission details. You will only be able to see your most recent here, so don't let that alarm you. I can see both. You can only see your most recent. That is why I recommend you doing them both at the same time. Well, I hope that has covered most of your questions from this week 6 activity. As always, I just highly encourage you to stop the video when I ask you to go on and do the next few that follow the same pattern, and just go back and review those areas that you might be stuck on. And of course, you can always reach out to your primary professor in your course and schedule a meeting through our bookings app. Thank you.